Red FM.
Well, I think it's in lots of ways it's a natural reaction. As like the punters can only watch from the outside, and in lots of ways they can't do anything about it. Whereas, like the individual players and that are striving to improve and narrow the gap. So, when you look and you look at the size of the defeat and so forth, so it's a natural reaction, and you kind of look and you kind of go, oh, there's a huge task ahead of you, and not alone is there a huge task. It'll be next year before you get a chance to go at it again. So it's a natural reaction, but the gap is not as unbridgeable as people seem to think, because if everybody was to turn around and think it's we can't do it, then if you don't believe you can do it, then you might as well pack up now and give up. And in fact, if you didn't believe you could actually bridge the gap, you wouldn't be involved. So I think, as people, as time goes by, people will be, dead set on narrowing that gap, because, Kilkenny are at the moment kingpins, and rightly so, and they're a step ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, what about yourself, Shawnee? There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of optimism surrounding Cork hurling this week after last Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, the immediate reaction, Paul, after such a crushing defeat, is definitely one of doom and gloom, and you'd be saying the Cork are down now when they won't win Ireland for 5 or 10 years. But as you said, you think about what happened during, not just what happened on Sunday, what happened during the year, and what's happened over the last couple of years, and maybe things aren't as bad as we initially talking over the ground on Sunday. Definitely the striking thing, really, I suppose, which is affecting the senior team, is the fact that the underage success in the last couple of years has been limited enough. We haven't won a minor since 2001, and the 21s have gone back to 98, and that's a long, long time. You're getting players coming through now. There has been quality come through in the meantime. Shane O'Neill, Patrick Horgan, Paddy O'Sullivan, Colin Nocton, they're all class hurlers. They'd all make any inter-county team out there. But, underage success certainly just instills some sort of confidence in a fella's mentality. It's not tangible. You can't put your hands on it. It's just something that's ingrained in a guy, and it definitely, gives him an advantage when he gets into the senior grade. The best thing we could probably do now for the next couple of months is maybe look at what's happened in the last couple of years as regards our skill sets. Are we slipping back a little bit? Why are Kilkenny so far ahead of us? We're probably up there still with, I would like to think, with Tipperary, Waterford, Galway and these teams. But look, Kilkenny are the benchmark, and if we could maybe focus on what's getting them so far ahead of the rest of us. Forgetting about Tipperary and Waterford, we're up there with them. Just look at where Kilkenny are, and I suppose to sort of break Kilkenny down, Paul, when you look at their aerial ability and the intensity of their tackle, the independence of every single fella to win his own ball, I mean, they're miles ahead of us in that regard. But hypocritically coming from myself now, who never caught a ball in his life, to be honest, there was one area that I was really, really lacking in myself. But the point is, our half-forward line, as good a player as we have in there, we just can't seem to aerially challenge the likes of the Kilkenny lads, JJ, Tommy Walsh and these guys. Certainly, if we were to progress next year and the year after, there are loads of positives in our play. There were positives in this year's performances, getting to a league final and getting to a Munster final and being really, really unlucky not to win it. But we need to start focusing on where we're deficient on the field of play, and there are a few areas, as I said, that do strike out and that are very, very obvious.
Yeah, John, as we mentioned there, Cork's last All-Ireland minor title was 2001. Our last under-21 came back in 98. I suppose when you look at those two facts, you can understand why people might be a bit worried for the future of Cork hurling on the basis of our underage success.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I'll just give you a few pieces of information now that might kind of make people think, oh, hold on a second. Mm-hmm. I think it is important that the work goes in at underage and that kids are improving and that they're winning something. But that doesn't necessarily have to be in All-Ireland. I mean, how many minor All-Ireland medals has Henry Shefflin, Tommy Walsh and JJ Delaney between them? 0. And yet, they're collecting or possibly looking at collecting 7 and 8 All-Ireland senior medals. They did, however, win Leinster titles. And I think even if people look like Tipperary, people look at Tipperary and they say, well, Tipperary are the next team coming. They've won 2 minor All-Irelands in 2006 and 7. And mainly that 2007 team, I think there's 5 of them or more have played. I think there's actually more at this stage. I think it could be up to 7 have played senior championship. Yes, Cork beat them in the same Munster minor final. And actually, if you look and you roll it on, like in the last 2 years at under 21, when those teams have been battling, Tip have won 2 extra time victories. Mm-hmm. So that there is the talent. I mean, if you look, and they're young. Like if you look on Sunday, you had guys there with Cork, like Patrick Horgan is only this is his first year out of under 21. and people would say he was the best forward. Paddy O'Sullivan came on, he's just out of under 21. Cathal Naughton's only 2 years out of 21, despite the fact he seems to have been around for years. Patrick Cronin, who's coming back from an injury. Keane McCarthy is actually under 21. So and Isaki, even though he's older, is actually his first year playing senior intercounty. So, there's those guys will have to, go on and improve, just like the Kilkenny guys. Michael Rice won a minor All-Ireland as captain in 2002, and he became a regular last year. That is 7 years after he captained the Kilkenny minor team to win an All-Ireland. So it's a long process. It's a long haul, and a lot of hard work goes in. And I think if you look at Cork's record in Munster in the last decade, it's pretty good. It's just that it hasn't been translated into All-Irelands. So in that sense, there is the talent there, but I'd say people might be looking and comparing it maybe to the 1970s when Cork were winning underage titles left, right and centre and coming on and win 3 in a row senior All-Irelands, and Cork club teams were winning the All-Ireland senior club title. One year the Glen will go out and win it, the next year the Rockies will go out and win it, the next year the Bars will go out and win it. So we're not there, but there is I would say there is as good a bunch of talent on the way up as there is in most other counties. But the big issue is this word talent. It still requires work. You're not going to get a young fella coming in at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 even. Patrick Corgan got 4 points the last day. Well, Patrick would be the first to admit he has a load of work to do in his game. So I think where we will run into big trouble is on two things. One, if we don't believe we can bridge the gap. And the other thing is if we believe there are shortcuts, because that gives people an excuse not to do the hard work. The hard work has to be done, and there is enough talent there that combined with the hard work can, in a couple of years, and maybe on a once-off, overturn Kilkenny next year. But it will take time to get to where they're at. They didn't get there overnight. We won't get there overnight.